Welcome to Sit, Stay, Read, the podcast for every wag, whinny, and whisker. I'm Kathleen Donnelly, award-winning author and retired canine handler. Each week, I chat with novelists about the bond we share with our furry friends and how they inspire stories. Grab a coffee, get cozy with your favorite pet. It's time to sit, stay, read. I've been looking forward to today's interview for quite a while because joining me is Jen Danna, who writes as Sara Driscoll, one of my favorite canine series. And today, her latest book, Deadly Trade, is out. Not just the latest book, Jen, this is your 10th book. So I feel like I had Margaret Mitsushima on with her 10th book. So this is only right that we have your 10th book. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. I was actually listening to your episode with the last one with Margaret, and I thought it was very funny because we seem to be writing books without meaning to, at the same, because my couple also got married at the end of book 9, and this is their first book as a married couple, just like hers is. So we're not trying to copy each other, and our books are coming out at
No.
the same time, so there's actually no way that we could be.
No, not at all. In
Yeah.
Deadly Trade. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I can't wait to dig in to this
Oh,
because
thank
you
you.
you had some really fun things that I know the listeners will love. But since you have 10 books, and maybe there's some
Yes.
listeners out there who don't know you, or I should say don't know the series,
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about Meg, Hawk, Todd, and of course Hawk being a black lab, one of my favorites. So
Mhm.
so go ahead and
Well,
fill
and
us in.
Hawk is a black lab because that was my childhood dog too. I
Okay.
had a great black lab who was not nearly as talented as Hawk, but yeah, that was my childhood experience. So I've always loved black labs, and also this is a series that's more about search and rescue than it is about like patrol dogs or tracking and
Yeah.
apprehension, that kind of thing. So going with a dog that has a slightly lower level of aggression was sort of felt right to me in this case.
Hmm.
How the whole thing started, this is Meg Jennings, who is an FBI contractor. She and Hawk are a dog and handler team that work with the FBI. The Human Scent Evidence team is a real FBI team. And so they're part of the forensic canine unit, and so this is sort of the team that they work within. They are like a dog and handler team, and they're one of 4 dog and handler pairs in the FBI Human Scent
Yes.
Evidence team. And so they are sent out as live find dogs. So they look for the missing or the injured or, victims of natural disasters, anything that
Yeah.
could be a federal case or where the feds would be called in. And so in the very first book, Meg and Hawk have been on the team for a while. The other 3
Mhm.
dog handler pairs are already sort of established. But like in chapter 3 of the first book, when there's been a bombing on the National Mall in
Mhm.
DC, one of the firefighters that she ends up working with to save a young girl who's buried in the rubble is the man she marries at the end of book 9, and
Yeah.
is Todd Webb, who's the husband in book number 10. Um, and it's a nice group ensemble series. So we pick up people sort of as we go along. At the beginning of
Yeah.
the series, she lives with her sister. Her parents own an animal rescue in Virginia, so they kind of pop in and out of the story. Clay McCord is a Washington Post investigative reporter who in book 1 actually is more of a suspect than, a colleague, but he sort of
Nice.
worms his way into the greater group. And by book 10, he's just an invaluable arm that they sort of can't work without. So, uh-oh, hold on. I think we're about to be visited. I have a
Uh-oh.
cat.
Oh, well, he or she
This
says,
this is Nala. This is
"Hi,
Nala,
Nala."
and we have a lot of cats in this house, so I'm not really surprised that we had one visit.
Well, it is no problem. All animals are welcome on Sit Stay Read. So we take them all. In
Perfect.
fact, half the time
Yep.
Boomer decides to bark. I think he just heard
Yep.
the word cat, my black lab,
Yeah.
and he's like, wait a minute, we were talking about labs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
What are you talking about? Cats. Yeah.
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 Well, that's very cool. Well, let's get specific about Deadly Trade. Really, really good book. Brought up some really interesting issues. Tell us a little bit about this one in particular.
So this one, it was actually an idea that was given to me by a girlfriend who runs a Facebook book group. And she had sent me an article about the Kilauea eruption that happened in Hawaii, sort of just around the time that I was finishing up book 9 and Meg and Todd are getting married. And so she put the sort of the bug in my brain about, well, they have to go on a honeymoon somewhere. And Hawaii is within FBI jurisdiction, so that would be a great place for book number
Yeah.
10. So that was how we started on that sort of road. And I mean, Hawaii is a very different environment from anywhere that I had been before or had written about before. And it also has volcanoes, and I knew this was going to be my one and only chance to write about a volcano as a sort of a background threat through the book. So I kind of looked forward to that too.
Yeah.
And so Hawaii is the extinction capital of the world. They have lost more species, they think, than the rest of the world combined. So I looked at that as a good
Wow.
sort of jumping off point to this to sort of talk about, conservancy and wildlife trafficking. And these are real problems in the Hawaiian
Yes.
Islands. I was not familiar with Hawaii, so my husband and I went down there to do a tour. We hiked through. The book opens in Pu'u Natural Area Reserve, and which is this gorgeous, lush fern forest. And we hiked it ourselves, and it was
Nice.
just as difficult as I described it in the book. I spent the whole time worrying that we were going to get lost and someone would have to come and rescue us because there's not really a trail. But so it was to me that kind of added to it. And the whole time that we were hiking, all of these endangered birds were overhead. You could hear them sort
Wow.
of flying around in the forest overhead. And so I wanted to sort of use deadly trade to kind of highlight that as an issue, wildlife trafficking. And it's most people think about wildlife trafficking as rhinoceros horns,
Hmm.
in Africa and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
it's not. It's hardwood, it's lizards, and there's a big trade in birds, and a lot of the trade in birds is live specimens. And so people go into these areas and they remove some of these endangered birds from their own environment. Not only are they putting the birds at risk, but they're putting the overall population at risk because you have just taken a breeding adult out of circulation. And
Yeah.
some of these populations, there's only 1,000 or a couple thousand of them left on the planet. So it's a real issue.
I love that. And it gave you an opportunity to bring in a new canine,
Mhm.
and that's a conservation canine. And some of our, and let's see, I think his name, am I saying it right? Makoa? Is that how you would say
Yes.
it?
Yep.
Makoa,
Yep.
and his
Makoa. Yep.
handler, Kai, I assume is how
Yep.
you would.
He's an Australian Shepherd.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, anyone who listens to this, I'll just apologize. My Hawaiian pronunciations are terrible. So I was hoping I was close, but conservation dogs are kind of a, I would say, somewhat new thing. Tell us a little bit
They
about
were
them and their
they were
job.
new to me, and I think part of that is because like we tend to be very much sort of in the law enforcement,
Yeah.
sort of stream of canine work. So we know explosive dogs and drug detection dogs and apprehension dogs and all of those sorts of things. But a
Mhm.
conservation dog is basically a scent dog where they are trained to find things that are specific to the environment in which they're working. So in Hawaii, they have dogs that meet incoming ships to check to make sure
Yeah.
that there aren't any invasive rats or fire ants or yellow crazy ants, anything that can get off the ship and then damage the environment. Another big way that they work, and this is where sort of Makoa comes into it, is that they are used to find seabird nests. So seabirds spend
Okay.
most of their time off the island, but they come back to the island to breed. And they breed in these lava plains where, if you've ever seen what lava looks like rough lava,
Yeah.
they're all these sort of nooks and crannies and little tunnels, and they get right in there. So you can't actually visually see where the nest is. But cats and rats and mongooses, all of these species who are invasive species, they've been introduced to the island so the birds don't have sort of a natural protectionism against it. They are just sort of, they're
Okay.
picked off by these creatures. So the people on the island, the conservationists on the island want to be able to protect these nests, but they don't know where they are. So the conservation dogs
Okay.
will sniff out these nests and then they can find a way to block off the nests from all of the other predators or set up cameras so that they get scared off, that kind of thing. And so it's helping to keep sort of a bird population that is starting to dip. It's helping to keep
Yeah.
it up. But where they can do seabirds, they can also do forest birds. They have just a slightly
Yes.
different. They say it's like a fishy, sort of musky smell versus a sweet
Okay.
smell, which is like the forest birds. And so the dogs can be trained on different kind of birds, and then they can use that to find where the birds' nests are. Mainly based on where the feces drop, but if it works, go for it.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought it
Yep.
was so cool you brought that in. And then I was doubly impressed because you had commands for that dog. His handler gave him commands
Mhm.
in Hawaiian. And I was
In
like,
Hawaiian.
wow.
Yeah. Well, it's like
Yeah.
some dogs are trained in German,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
my books they're all trained in English, but it makes sense that so the Hawaiian commands, they're just considered like the working language. It's like when you put a collar on a dog or a work vest on a dog, it's a symbol to the dog or a signal to the dog that it's time to get to work. And for these dogs, it's the commands in Hawaiian.
Yeah. So were you able to shadow a conservation dog in Hawaii? Is that how you found some of the commands or?
No, unfortunately, that was just through research.
Okay.
I was not, we were only there for a week, and boy, did we have an agenda. So we we did an awful lot in that week, but I was not able to shadow a conservation dog. I would have loved to, but it was just a matter of time. Um, and so just a lot of research.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it was funny when I was reading this, I thought, oh, I bet Jen took a nice vacation to Hawaii. And then I read your acknowledgments and I was like, oh, that sounds like that was a working
It was,
trip.
oh yeah, it was absolutely a working
Yeah,
vacation. So my
yeah.
husband is a good sport, and he just sort of, you've got an agenda, we're going to get it done. So we did it, and it was a very busy trip. It was great. I think we had one day to relax, and that was it. A lot of driving.
I love
It's a
it. Yeah,
big island.
I was gonna say I didn't realize how big. I've never stopped and thought about how big the Big Island is. And yeah,
Yeah, well, it's
is
2 hours to drive it from one side to the other, and then you're also going
okay.
north to south, not alone sort of west to east. So yeah, it was a lot of driving, and we did a lot of hikes starting at 9 a.m. and we were in the resort that I've written the characters into. So we did that drive
Okay.
every day from one side to the other because one side of the island is dry and the other side rains all the time.
I love it. And I love how you brought in the volcano and the earthquakes. I mean, were you able to see any eruptions while you were there or have any earthquakes while you were there?
Yeah, we weren't. Kilauea was Volcanoes National Park is around Kilauea, although Mauna Loa is just like towering over it. You can't sort of
Yeah.
miss it. And there was definitely like the sulfur vents were, there was steam coming out the sulfur vents and you could get the
Okay.
sulfur smell. And at the caldera, it was smoking, but it wasn't erupting at that. And I think it was like a week
Okay.
later we came back and it erupted and we were like, darn it. So we didn't get to see an actual eruption, in person, but I mean, if you ever make it to Hawaii, to the Big Island, it's an extremely impressive park that was really kind of a highlight for us.
That's neat. Yeah, that's on my bucket list. I would
Yeah,
love to see that island. So
definitely go to Volcanoes National Park. Yeah.
that's cool. So as you did your research there, was there anything that was really surprising or really fascinating? Because I found a lot of fascinating information in the book as I read. So I'm curious for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a different. I live in Southern Ontario in the Great Lakes Basin. Like it is just such a different environment from
Yeah.
anywhere that I've been to before. And it's interesting how the island is. Like as I said, one side of the island is rains constantly, but then the clouds literally just get hung up on Mauna Kea
Okay.
and Mauna Loa, and then the other side of they're like two extremely different environments. You have these
That's
like
cool.
desert like lava plains on the one side, and it's very lush on the other side. Um, it was just, I don't know that I'd say it was surprising, but I mean, it was just a great experience to be able to go down there, and the people are wonderful. And, it was great to sort of learn about the science and, everything of the volcanoes, which kind of gets wound into the story because they have to learn a bit about volcanoes just to save their own lives in case they get, stuck at an eruption.
Yeah.
Spoiler that they do. Um, so I mean, it's such a great environment. I would highly recommend going to anybody who wants to. It's sort of the more natural island. Like a lot of people go to Oahu, where there's Honolulu and Pearl Harbor. But if you want to actually just
Yeah.
sort of get out into nature, the Big Island is the place to go.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I thought it was really neat. At the start of all your chapters, you always have kind of a theme. The first book was dog working terms, and this book
Hmm.
was volcanoes. And I thought that is
Yes,
so
yeah.
cool.
Well,
Yeah.
and each one is related to the chapter itself. So if you look at it and then you look really closely at the chapter, they
Yeah.
are kind of linked. But also it's just when you're sort of I like learning things when I read. And I've
Yeah.
had a lot of other people say to me, we really like those chapter titles because it kind of sort of gets us into the theme of the book because there's a different theme for each one. So
Yeah.
yeah, so like for book 9 for Summit's Edge, it was all mountaineering terms, and for this one, it was all earthquakes. The next book is going to be caving, so it's all going to be caving terms. So it's
Oh,
kind of fun
fun.
because it teaches you as you go, it teaches you a little bit as you go along.
I love it. Well, and let's talk about the next book because that was one of my questions. I was like, this cannot be done at book 10. I know they're married and everything, but we got to keep moving on. So tell us
Yep,
about book
yep.
11.
So book 11, I literally just started drafting it today. So
Nice.
we're off to the races at this point. That's not due till
Yeah.
next February. Um,
Okay.
but it'll be next October or next November. This one has a sort of a short production schedule, these books. And what happens is that the canine teams are called to Mammoth National Park, which is where the Mammoth
Nice.
Cave system is in Kentucky, because
Okay.
teenagers are being kidnapped and are disappearing, and then they find traces of them within the park, and so then they're off to find where these teens are. But it turns out that they're being taken into the cave system, and so the dogs have to find their way through the cave system to find these kids. So needless to say, this isn't something that they're trained to. So they have to have,
Yeah.
like when they went up, you know, Pyramid Peak in Summit's Edge, they need, a team of people to kind of help them because caving is extremely dangerous and you can't just sort of send your dog into it. But if you've ever been in a
No.
cave system, it's not just a single straight tube. There's like offshoots
Mm-mm.
everywhere. So they need scent dogs to be able to tell them where these kids have been taken. And so that's that. So the book is titled Killer Abyss, and that's out next
Ooh,
fall.
I love it. I love it. That's really neat. How do you decide where to take? I mean, Meg has been all over the place with
Yeah.
the FBI. How do you determine your locations?
Well, for Killer Abyss, it's kind of funny because my son-in-law saw an article about this Mammoth Cave National Park at some
Okay.
point, and just sent it to me, and I'm like, ooh, that's neat. So we sort of backburnered that one for a bit, and it got, but we came around to it, and I just said to him, yeah, we're
Nice.
we're doing the cave now, because it's 400 miles of explored caves, and they think there's
Wow.
600 miles of unexplored cave, and
My
so we're
gosh.
going into the unexplored part.
Oh, I love it. And are you heading to Kentucky as well? Are you going to
I
make your
wasn't
husband
able
do
to make
another
it to
trip?
Well, sort of. We already did it. Wasn't able to make it to Kentucky, but we went
Okay.
caving in sort of central Ontario, up in the Ottawa region.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
so we got dragged. We did a weekend of caving in a couple of different cave systems up there, just to sort of get the atmosphere and that kind of thing. I would have loved to have gone to Kentucky. It's just not going to work out this time, but
Yeah.
it's incredible the pictures that you see down there, and it's amazing. I'm reading about sort of like the Flint Ridge Mammoth Cave connection that happened in the 1970s and the risks these guys take and how they get stuck,
Yeah.
and some of them have died, and it's amazing what they were doing, but so dangerous.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's not high on my list unless it was a guided tour.
Yeah, but the guided tour at Mammoth Cave I think would be amazing. So yeah, another
That would
bucket
be.
list.
That would be. You're adding to my travel plans today.
Sorry.
Oh, no apologies. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, what is the best way for readers to keep up on your latest releases, social media, all that fun stuff?
Yep, newsletter is always the best. I try not
Okay.
to hit people's inbox with it very often, so
Yep.
you'll hear from me sort of 4 or 5 times a year kind of thing, usually around releases. But you can find that on the homepage, how to sign up for that on the homepage of my website, which is
Okay.
jenjdana.com.
Great.
But
Great.
I'm also on
Fantastic.
Facebook and Threads and Blue Sky, so there's, for the day-to-day stuff, Facebook is maybe the best one for that.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. And are the links on your website? People can follow them from there.
Yes, yep, you
Okay.
can get to everything from
Perfect.
there.
Perfect. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been such a
Well, thank
fun
you for having me.
conversation. Yeah. And
Yeah,
everyone,
absolutely.
Deadly Trade, it's out. Probably it's out today. So go get it. And if you haven't read all 10, get the other 9 while you're at it. So
You can start with Lone Wolf and work your way forward.
that's right. It is well worth it. One of my favorite canine series. So, and it's Boomer
Thank you so
approved too
much.
with the black lab on the cover. So
Yeah.
he gives it all paws up.
Two
So
paws up from Boomer.
yes, yes. Well, until
Yeah.
next time, everyone, keep your tails wagging and pages turning. Thanks for joining me today. Sit, Stay, Read is a part of the Authors on the Air Global Network. If you enjoyed today's author interview, be sure to leave a review and share the episode with a fellow animal-loving reader. If you're curious about the world of working dogs and wilderness adventures, please check out my books at KathleenDonnelly.com. Until next time, curl up with your best furry friend and sit, stay, read.